I figured since I'm going to be installing the Yoshimura Frame Sliders, or chassis protectors, whatever you want to call them, and the fairings have to come off either way, I do a quick tutorial on how to remove your left and right fairings. And to get started, what we need to do is we need to remove the windscreen, and you can actually remove the four screws that hold it in with a 4mm Allen wrench, or in this case I'm using one of these guys just because I find it quicker and they're not on there that tight. That just twists right off. I will put down the camera for this so I don't drop them. And once every little screw here is out, I will just remove the windscreen, and then I will show you the next step. Once your windscreen is off, you're going to want to pop out these quick rivets here. I'm just going to use this Allen key right here and just press in, pop, and pop, and then they just come out. Once those two, you just pull them out like that. It's easier just to pull it like that, and then they just come out like so. Once these two guys, oops, just pushed it back in. Once these two guys are out, you're going to take off these four, hopefully I'm getting all these, screws right here. And then this center panel will just come right off, which will give you access to your cluster and the connection and the boot that's behind here. And there's two bolts, but I'll show you all that in a minute. You're also going to want to take off your side upper panels here, which are held in partly by this bolt, which we're going to remove from the centerpiece. There's one right here, and there's one on the side right here. It's exactly the same for this side, one there, one right there. And the left side, well, the right side is under the left side here in the center, but the right side comes off with another quick push pin, quick rivet here. Same deal, push it down, take it out, and that frees up that whole area right there. Now what you're left with the four screws here removed and the two quick rivets, is just a piece of plastic, which just pops out. Easier with two hands, mind you, but I should be alright. There we go. I should probably be using two hands for this. There it is. So that's off. And I'm going to go put this next to my windscreen. Bam. And I did not push that quick rivet out, so I'll do that now. I do have replacement, one of these guys that I ordered here. I'll show you real quick. You can get them on eBay. I got this on eBay, which is just a standard sport bike bolt kit. It's pretty universal. But these guys here are actually made by Bolt. It's a company. And I've lost quick rivets taking off the fairings before. This is my second time doing it, and I lost like two. So they give you universal. They give you M6s, M7s, and M8s. This now just comes right off. Take the left side off first because the right side is underneath. May need to move your handlebars. There we go. Bam, that's off. Put that over here. And I already loosened the other side as well with the two that I had mentioned earlier. Actually, sorry, you can't take off the right without first taking off the gauge here. It's actually held in underneath it. And to take that off, first you slide this boot out. There we go, bam. And if you can see that, it's just a clip. So if I can get her, probably need both hands for that, just because I hit my hand on that. Yeah, I'm going to use my other hand, and once I get that loose, I'll cut back in. Now that that's off, we're going to want to take off these two bolts on the left and right. I did it last time without removing the these clips here that hold your windscreen in place, these brackets here. So I'm going to do it again, and the way I did it last time was with a small, I believe it's an 8mm wrench. So I used this guy here, and I believe last I checked I lost my 8mm of these, but I think a 5/16 works just as well. So we'll just confirm that right now. If you don't have an 8mm, pop in the 5/16. Yeah, that fits perfectly. So if you don't have an 8, use a 5/16. It's pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to loosen those up, take them off, and I'll show you how to slide out the gauge here. With those 2 bolts removed, your cluster is now free. And actually, to get it off, am I correct in remembering that you got to pop this off? It's just a little rubber stopper here. Yeah. So there we go, that's off. And then this side as well is part of that. There we go. And then that just lifts off. Actually, I believe it lifts off altogether, so. Yeah, we're taking that all off. That's one big piece. There we go. So yeah, so that's all attached actually. So you lift it off all in one piece right there. So make sure you take out those 2 screws before you try and take out your little gauge here, your speedometer and everything. So that's off. Put it on the side. Just trying to make sure I have enough room for when I put the fairings. So I'll put those bolts back. Bam! There we go. Yoshimura stickers from when I installed the fender eliminator. And there are washers on the end of both the ones that held it in, so don't lose them. Try not to drop them down the bike. Keep them all organized so you know where everything goes back in. The ones for the center panel and the side panels they're all the same length, they use the same washer, so it doesn't really matter if you mix those up, so no worries. And what I did was I kept the quick rivet with that piece there, with one of the one that's on the left side. And there you have it. So with those 2 sides off, you can now get to work on removing the actual fairings themselves. It's going to be a little more in my way now because I put in HIDs a little while back, and I kind of mounted them in whichever way I thought would work. But one thing you do have to do is your indicator, your turn signal, which I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, which is just held in by this little clip here. Just slides out, and then you just pinch that down and slide it out before you try and remove your fairings. It's on both sides, and like I said, that's for your blinkers, your turn indicators, and you have to remove them before, because if you try to remove it after, you know, you got your fairing hanging down, you're putting unnecessary strain on the wire itself. So make sure you do that first. So I'm going to do that right now and unclip them, and then we'll get to work on taking off the actual fairings in preparation for the install of the Yoshimura chassis protectors, or frame sliders, again, whatever you want to call it. Once your turn indicators are removed, I'm going to try and show you this on the inside here, but there are quick rivets on the inside of the actual fairing. There's one, oh God, I don't know if you can, but there's one right here. Let's see if I can get a better light in there so you can see it. So one right there, there's one right there, and again, same deal, you just push them in. There's one up there that has to come off, and I forget if the ones up top here have to come off. They might not, I don't think they do. So just the ones on the inside panel here. But if I need to remove the center one, I'll make sure I show you as well. But if you do ever do, there's one right there if you can see it, and I believe there's one further back that I can't really see right now. But there's like an inner fairing here. There's like an inner fairing here, this plastic that they hold in place. But you're not going to be removing this plastic, you're just going to be removing the outer fairing here, just this part right there. And to do that, it involves first removing those quick rivets, and then there's going to be a bolt right here and a screw, bolt, whatever, and one right down there. You'll also have to take out these larger ones here, which I think are the M8s. There's 3. There's one there, which I actually showed in my install of the exhaust, and there's 2 underneath. 2 or 3, I can't see, but there's 2, I believe. And those all pop out. Those are not like the smaller ones. Those you have to fit like a screwdriver under, or something that you can pry it out with, and it just pulls out. Careful, they're not that breakable. You can give them a little strength. Just try not to snap them if you don't have replacements like I do. After the first time removing the fairing, I made sure to order extras. So you might want to have some on stock. Check eBay. Way cheaper than going to like a bike store, because they were trying to charge me like $2 a piece. So you can pretty much get like 80 of them for 20 bucks online. So make sure you do it that way. So I use 2 screwdrivers because there's 2 little spots that you can pry under to get these out, and it's just easier that way if you get it at both sides. And what you do is I used one of these. You twist it back and forth is easier than trying to pry it. That way you don't hurt your fairing. That's the best way I found. I don't know if there's an easier way, but it's the best way I found without damaging the lower fairing. Next is the bolt, which also use a 4. I wish I had a new 4 because this one looks pretty rounded off, and I don't want to strip any bolts. But yeah, it's a 4. Alright, so I'm going to take that guy off and that guy off. And I've already loosened the smaller quick rivets on the inside. Which again, sorry, it's upside down. And there was 3 on this side that I got so far. If there's another one, I'll be sure to capture that one. So just to show you, oops, dropped it. Just to show you how the, at least the lower one, I haven't finished taking out the top one yet. Just show you how the lower one was held in. It's held in by this screw. There was then this washer, which is inserted over like that because that fits in that larger hole there. And then I don't remember this being on there before. I must have not noticed it or left it attached. And that was over like that, pretty much. And that's what held her in. And now I'll just finish taking off the other side. I mean, well, not the other side, the top one here, which is already loosened actually. And it's pretty much, looks like the same thing. It's got the metal washer and then that little plastic rubber washer right there. So yeah, I must have put it back when I initially did it, I just didn't remember. And there you go, so that's off as well. And you're going to want to make sure you put it aside, don't lose them. Same deal as before. There we go, everything's nice and laid out. So with those 2 off, I'm then going to try and just shimmy this off and then put it aside. Remember, I've already disconnected the turn indicator. I've popped out as many quick rivets as I think I need to. And this just kind of fits in under here. It'll come off when you wiggle it. Like, I don't know, let's see. Yeah, it'll just come off like that. And the inside, these are the quick rivets here. Let's see if we can get it to just pop out without dropping it. Alright, I'm going to use 2 hands for that because I don't want to scratch my fairing. Alright, so that's off now. Wasn't too bad at all. And yes, there's only 3. So you don't have to take off the ones under there, the quick rivets. You just have to take off that guy, that one, and that one. I put them back in just so you can see. And here's where I mounted my HIDs. Probably not the best place for them. But I don't know, maybe I should have put them there because my other one is mounted there. But I also didn't have this guy on that side, on the other side that is. But this is how I have them mounted for now. It stayed, I have no problems, they all work, everything's good. And it looks like nothing's melted from the radiator or anything, so it should be fine. So I am going to just show you the underside here. So that is the turn signal indicator that I had mentioned. That just goes to your blinker. And that's the inside of your fairing if you're ever curious. Here's some sound dampening that they have going here. And just to keep the vibration down. And I'll probably give this a wipe down while I have it off. Why not? And there's the other side. So with those 3 so far that I found, quick rivets off, and once again, turn signal removed, you know, you took off the clip. Same deal, you're gonna have your upper Allen wrench key here, or whatever you want to call it. You're gonna have your upper one, and you're gonna have your lower one. Now you notice that's a Phillips, that's because I stripped the crap out of the last one. So again, be careful, don't over torque it. And if you're not getting it, don't overdo it. So, same deal, it's just resting up under here, and it's held in by the 3 quick rivets, which I will point out is one is right here, one right here, and the one down here. That plus the 2 bolts, one here and one down here. Once those are removed, the fairing just comes right off. Here's where I mounted the other HID light, if anyone was wondering. And this is where your indicator would have been clipped in. So again, make sure you remove it before you take off the fairing. And there she is. There's my bike, buck naked. That's a foam. And the other side. Probably going to clean it up a bit while I have everything off. Might as well. Best opportunity to do so. So that's how you remove the fairings and get her ready to install some frame sliders.